Today, scientific authorities, former politicians, and an array of BYU professors met at the University of Utah to denounce the passage of House Joint Resolution 12 and to implore state and federal politicians to consider the consequences of climate change. House Joint Resolution 12, a non-binding resolution set to be voted on this Friday, demands that the Environmental Protection Agency essentially abandon its plans to regulate and reduce the pollutants that are responsible for causing global warming, instead calling for more research to be conducted into the matter. Proponents of the resolution claim that the EPA regulations would be harmful to Utah industry and agriculture. House Joint Resolution 12 essentially labels global warming and climate change as a hoax and originally used language such as conspiracy, and that scientists who wanted to address climate change were, quote, riding a gravy train. Such controversial language was modified in the bill's final form. However, its chief sponsor, Republican Representative Kerry Gibson, and chief advocate, Republican Representative Mike Noel, have been considered hostile to the scientists, the politicians, the activists, and the many groups who have voiced opposition to the resolution.
We have some very troubling developments that are happening that our state would like to pull out of a whole Western coalition to deal with air pollution, water pollution, natural resource use. How could we make any informed decisions if we do not have a seat at that table?
Representative Noel is also sponsoring House Joint Resolution 21, which urges Utah's governor to pull Utah out of the Western Climate Initiative, claiming that climate change is merely a conspiracy to control world population. A panel of scientists, BYU professors, and former politicians who gathered here tonight at the University of Utah did not agree.
People around the world, recognizing that they cannot respond adequately on their own, are asking whether their governments should respond to this seeming threat. Sadly, the question has been transformed into a debate as to whether global warming is real. This is terribly misleading.
There is a huge difference in what the man-caused global warming that I don't believe is as serious a threat as the overall change in the climate on a normal cyclic process. I think there's a big difference there.
The second problem defines short-term winners and losers. It creates a powerful incentive for short-term losers to muddy the issue.
My general idea about carbon, the carbon program, okay. I'm a farmer, and besides some of the things I do, I raise cows and I raise hay. Alfalfa hay is a natural sequester because it needs carbon.
We must hold our politicians responsible for confounding the issue and preying upon our predictable weaknesses.
Legislators can spin off almost any tales of fantasy that they want.
After that intensive study over the years, there is absolutely no question that today we face the greatest threat ever in human history to the inhabitants of Earth. Never has there been a more crucial time for all people of goodwill, compassion, and care for our children and later generations to come together and demand of our elected officials to take effective action to prevent irreversible catastrophic climate disruption, or demand that they get out of the way so that somebody else will take informed, responsible action. Those who fail to take action, both in elective office and at the grassroots level, and that includes each and every one of us, everyone who fails to take effective action is creating a far more dangerous planet for our children and grandchildren. For those who have been confused, and I know there are a lot of people confused, especially when we have elected officials saying the kinds of things that they have been saying here and passing the kinds of resolutions that they've been considering here. There are many people confused by this intensive campaign of misinformation. But to those who are confused, I plead, please consider the fact that the leading international scientific bodies, the national science academies worldwide, in dozens of nations, including our own National Academy of Science, and even Utah's top scientists, including many of those who have spoken here tonight, are all in agreement. We are facing a climate crisis caused by the burning of coal, oil, and gas, and if we continue along this path with business as usual, tragedy and untold misery will result to billions of people, including very likely our own descendants. These increases in temperature are due to human actions, specifically the burning of fossil fuels, coal, oil, and gas, and deforestation, and that a failure to radically reduce greenhouse gas emissions from these human actions will result in immense catastrophic consequences for our Earth and its inhabitants. Then you go from the international body of scientists to our own U.S. National Academy of Sciences. I urge you, anybody can read this. They've dumbed it down so just about any layperson, including even our own Utah legislators, can get it.